Welcome, Summoners, to Games Cast by PanderNyrl. If you wish to see more commented games, follow my social media pages below. Looks like we are going to have a Wukong band out in addition to Lulu, Kale, and they really don't want to see Kazakhs, as Wukong and Kale have been a very potent combination this tournament. Allows Wukong to go very deep, build basically pure damage, while when Wukong gets to about half-life, Kale will hit him with the ultimate, and Wukong will continue dealing massive damage. Looks like they don't want to see Misfortune out here, nor do they want to see Evelyn, but Olaf is going to be first picked by the Azubu Blaze side. Olaf a very safe and standard pick. He can go basically anywhere on the map, as he has no real threats anywhere. He's very good against everything. He's a pretty solid 2v1 laner. Should have come down to that. And he's just overall a very good choice, considering you don't know what the other team's going to pick. Looks like Caitlyn Nunu might be out for Meet Your Makers. A very solid bottom lane, which scales incredibly well thanks to Nunu's amazing blood boil and Caitlyn's great range. Should be a very good start for Meet Your Makers, considering they already have their bottom lane, and all of the other lanes are open, and they should be able to see what Azubu does pull out here. It looks like they might go with the Shen, as the Shen would be a very good choice here. They could either run him in the jungle or top, and it looks like Azubu is going to pick up all their non-duo lanes first, as we see Twisted Fate and Shen being thought about. I think that would be a pretty good choice for this game, other than the fact Twisted Fate might be picked a little too early, but they are going to lock him in, which means Twisted Fate is likely to be mid, and Meet Your Makers can really try and counter that. Shen is also picked up, likely to be a Shen in the jungle, but I do think Shen top will be fine as well. Olaf and Shen can swap places at any point. They both have the ability to jungle and do top lane fairly well. They can both survive in 2v1 situations and get really nice and tanky. Twisted Fate, on the other hand, is really going to love the Shen combination, as they can just jump anywhere on the map and instantly have 4+ people. As Twisted Fate can bring Shen with him the second he shields, or if Twisted Fate gets into a bad situation with his teleport, he can always bring Shen in. It's a nice global composition going down there, and they should be able to use it to good effect, especially if they can pick up a strong bottom lane, something with a little bit of CC. They can really punish that Caitlyn Nunu pick. So you have Karthus and Elise coming out here for Meet Your Makers. Very interesting combination. I'm not sure if that Elise will be jungle or top. I suspect it's going to be jungle, as many Elises have gone jungle lately. And so he's just a very strong, well-rounded champion that has good ganks, good farm, and basically just good everything. Karthus is also an interesting choice, and the first time I've seen him in a long while. But he looks to just deal massive damage by walking up to the enemy team. And I think it's a pretty good choice given how tanky Azubu Blaze is building. Karthus can deal some real big damage, and they really just need to prevent Azubu Blaze from going that pure tank build that everyone seems to be going this tournament by stacking War Monks. So you do have Ashe and Sona down bottom, and they are looking to punish this Caitlyn Nunu, as they have two massively powerful CC ultimates, two very strong slows, and I have a feeling Caitlyn Nunu is not going to have a very good time this lane, assuming Twisted Fate gets off to a decent start, and is a very good choice coming out from Azubu Blaze. Looks like Malphite might be picked up here, so you can go jungle top, or basically anywhere he would like. But I do think it will be a top lane Malphite. As he runs teleport, he can help counter the Twisted Fate and Shen combination. But I'm not sure it's going to be enough, especially when they can lay an Ashe arrow in from basically anywhere on the map. And a good Ashe arrow could really help out Azubu Blaze, as they just land the Ashe arrow on someone, follow it up with a Shen taunt, and then Sona crescendo, and Twisted Fate go for some real lockdown, and basically be able to kill someone before the fighting begins. If they can pick off Karthus before the fight starts, it would be a real terror, as he won't be in position to deal enough damage to actually finish off Azubu Blaze. It looks like it will be a Malphite in the jungle, at least top, and Karthus with teleport in the mid lane. A fairly good choice. I do think Karthus teleporting around will be able to help counteract the Shen Twisted Fate, in addition to his ultimate being a fairly powerful tool. It should allow him to deal a whole lot of damage and be able to get into the fight from anywhere. looks like the game is on your way. This is MYM Makler versus Azubu Blaze. And we are likely to see a good bit of action come early game as both teams are going to get off to a very good start. And I think Azubu Blaze really wants to get a fight going in the early game, as Twist of Fate Gold card plus Shen taunt is going to be absolutely devastating. And they can combo that with Olaf, with Undertow to really catch someone out. But I think MYM Makers recognize what's going on and are just going to do the exact same thing as both sides are invading the other's red. So the big difference here is MYM Makers has placed a ward on their own red buff and will be able to spot this out. While there is not a single ward on the map except that top tri-bush for Azubu Blaze, this basically confirms what was going on. There is another ward dropped down by Azubu and they will be retreating at this point. Not sure that they're going to stay or go, but I think retreating is probably a decent option, though they are going to have to actually steal blue if they want to make something happen, as there is no way MYM Makers is going to give up blue at this point, or give up red steal, excuse me. Red steal is just such a good idea at this point. It will really hamper that the jungler for Azubu Blaze. Looks like Ashe and Sona are going to try and take the race, but will they be caught out? Is the big question. Looks like they might actually try and take the long route, but this is going to hurt Malphite this game, unless they can pick up a kill here. Though Karthus starting that red buff just a little too early, they might have been able to get a nice first blood. But instead they're just going to settle with stealing that red buff right away. And Shen taking the red buff as well. Elise going to do a little bit of damage to Shen, but Shen getting the better of that fight, and Elise is in a lot of trouble. Though Shen is taking a lot of damage, but the problem is Elise is not going to be in good shape up top. Shen's going to likely roam around for another gank. Shen has hit level 2 while Elise is still level 1 and has not picked up any real experience as of yet. Nothing very interesting in terms of stars, basically a lot of potions all around and a few small items, such as that Doran's Blade on Caitlyn and Ashe, but mostly potions. And this lane up top is going to be pretty even for most of the game. Elise is going to have an advantage on Olaf as she can harass from a distance. But Olaf can jump in and dodge Elise's CC for a lot of damage if Elise is in spider form. Caitlyn and Nunu can do a lot of damage to that Sona Ashe. Caitlyn and Nunu will scale very hard. Looks like Malphite is trying to go steal the blue buff, but Malphite is not in good shape. He is still level 1 and he is likely to die here for first blood. Elise level 1 as well. Shen does flash and taunt. Malphite will be able to flash over this wall at the last second. Yes, he does. And he will be okay, just barely. Problem is Elise is going to go down for first blood. And this is just not working very well for MYM Makers. The Azubu Blaze with that early counter jungle really did a great job. And they're capitalizing on the fact that Elise got low early and is not able to pressure. And Malphite, I'm not sure why he was trying to counter jungle blue. It just wasn't a very bright idea. He could easily take his own blue and his own buffs and be just fine. He's sitting at level 1. He doesn't have a whole lot of options here. So he really needs to just pick up any farm he can get, hit level 2, then he can start doing things. But at level 1, he's just not very effective. Malphite does not have a very good level 1, especially with the fact he doesn't have his slow at level 1. If he had his slow, he might have been able to get away, but he did not pick that up. It looks like Caitlyn has gone back to pick up boots and a bunch of potions, as Ashe is going to easily farm his bottom lane now. Ashe likely to go back now, pick up boots and potions as well. When you see Olaf picking up that early Philosopher's Stone, likely going to turn that into a Shirley's Reverie at some point. Or just leave it as a Philosopher's Stone for the entire game. That's another option which he could do. But it looks like Malphite will be going for his own blue buff, but he is not in good shape at this point. Only sitting at 6 CS. Just now hitting level 2 and now getting level 3, but not in any good shape. He is really far behind, and it's going to show as he's not going to get 6 and get any good ganks off until after they're really needed. Twist of Fate doing a good job of just bullying Karthus around, making Karthus use a lot of mana to farm instead of having him auto attack. Elise up top is not doing so well against Olaf, as that early Philosopher's Stone Olaf, I mean, he can sustain and throw his axes all day long as Olaf is throwing those undertows out. Elise is not going to be in very good shape. As Elise just will take a little too much damage. Looks like Malphite has completed the Spirit Stone. As we do see Ashe picking up a Vampire, except in addition to that Doorhand Blade. And we are going to see Olaf just waiting for Elise to move forward before harassing. So Olaf seems like he wants to go back at this point. But Elise will not fall for it and just decides to go down and ward instead. So she is going to come up and Olaf's going to do a whole lot of damage to her. As his Reckless Swing does a lot in addition to that Undertow, cutting her down about 25% of her health with that one combo. And he can basically pull it off whenever he wants considering that Philosopher's Stone. Shen has opted for a Magic Razor, which will allow him to clear the jungle with pretty good speed. Twisted Fate being very safe, having placed a ward, though Malphite does decide to place a pink ward and remove it, as he does so for a little bit of lane experience. Twisted Fate running in there trying to harass Malphite, but I don't think it matters too much. Malphite is just not in a position to do much at this point in time. Looks like we are going to have Elise be completely zoned out here from those minions. Though Olaf will push him right to tower. Shen going to be jumping in on Malphite. As it looks like Malphite does get the big wolf and chase Shen away. But with Karthus not in the mid lane at this point, he has decided to go down bottom to pick up Sona. And they will be getting Sona. Shen it looks like Twisted Fate has come down as well, but Twisted Fate is not in good shape. As Caitlyn will be able to pick up the kill. No, it looks like Karthus did pick it up. But Nunu will be going down here, and Karthus will as well, making that a 3-for-2 exchange. Twisted Fate getting there just in time. Even though he did sacrifice himself, it's going to be pretty worth it unless Karthus gets the suicide. I'm not sure he's been out long enough, but he does get the suicide. And the suicide on Karthus means that was 2-for-2 technically. Though Ashe is going to pick up a lot of farm on his back end and be in good shape. It was a decent use of the teleport, and it shows that MYM Makler is getting pretty desperate at this point. All their lanes are just not doing very well. And Malphite can't really help out. He's just so incredibly far behind at this point. That early almost death and just not being able to pick up his jungle has really hurt him. And he does not have the CS he needs to really compete at this point in time. Elise is also getting bullied around very heavily by Olaf. She's going to have to go back and use at least one minion wave, if not two, to this tower. As Olaf does pop his Ghost and Ragnarok. So he's trying to get on Elise. He does pop the Ignite, and there's a dead Elise. The Ignite will finish her off in the air as Olaf is going to do a good bit of damage. But Shen ultimate is used. And Olaf decides not to pursue. Probably a wise decision as that tower is just a little too deep, especially once his Ragnarok falls off, and he doesn't have the immunity to slows. Karthus going back to mid to just farm it out. As we do see Ashe putting a lot of pressure on this Caitlyn Nunu lane. Sona's ability to heal her up after trading poke is really invaluable at that bottom lane, and Nunu is just not able to get in close enough as the Sona harass is a little too strong for him. And this is exactly how you counter Caitlyn Nunu, is just apply a lot of pressure and really force them to work for every little bit of CS. Karthus trying to run down bottom, but will be spotted out. And I don't think Ashe or Sona really want to fight that, so they're just going to back up and force him to go away. But Karthus still posturing down bottom. He seems very undecided if he actually wants to go down or not. But instead, he's just going to rotate back middle and continue farming and hope that he can pick up enough to really win the game. He needs a lot more farm to be able to carry and win, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to get enough in time. As we do have Twisted Fate and Olaf farming ridiculously well, and Ashe right on their heels. And it's just not MYM Makler's game so far. They are down about 2,500 gold. The score is 4-2. But the big problem here is the top lane is losing heavily, and Olaf is going for a Black Cleaver. We should be able to do some real massive damage. Twisted Fate can get the Shen, or Shen, likely to bring that into a Lich Bane. And we are going to see Karthus picking up that tier of Goddess. I'm not sure it's going to be early enough. He really needs to get that at about the 5 or 6 minute mark to make most effect of it. As it's not sure it's going to get stacked well enough in time. He does need the mana, but if he doesn't get stacks on it, it's not going to be very useful for damage. He does have good base damage already, but he scales incredibly well with ability power. Looks like we do have Sona about to finish up a Philosopher's Stone as Nunu does get taken very low. Twisted Fate pops the ultimate, but he is not in range to really do anything. He decides to come down bottom anyways, as Nunu is taken very low and almost killed, but Twisted Fate not wanting to tower dive for that. Malphite was in the area, and as soon as Twisted Fate came in trying to kill Nunu, Malphite would have landed his ultimate and been stuck in a Caitlyn trap. Looks like Shen has decided to move up to mid lane for a few moments as Twisted Fate backs and picks up a Duran's ring. Ashe has picked up a BF sword, and Shen can really use the solo lane experience for a little bit. He's doing a good job farming the jungle, but every little bit of experience counts. He is past level 6 at this point in time, and will really be a dominating force, as his ultimates should be able to turn around any of these situations. And anytime Azubu gets caught out or makes a mistake, Shen can really help them out. Though I don't think they're going to make any big mistakes, as all their lanes are winning fairly handily, especially this Olaf lane who's going to take down the top tower at any point in time now. These minions just hitting on it, and it will go down for the first tower of the game. Shen does get a taunt that saves Twisted Fate in the mid lane, and it is getting very low on Karthus, but here's Olaf coming in for some big damage. There's the Karthus ultimate out, but it will be able to kill Shen. It is not enough to save Malphite, as Ignite will finish Malphite off. This Olaf is absolutely dominating this game, and this is why Olaf's basically been first pick, or I almost say he should be banned at this point. Looks like Nunu does go down bottom, as Sona and Ashe are very low. But yeah, this is just showing Olaf's strength. He's such a versatile character that you can first pick him without any worries, and he just does massive damage, and is almost impossible to kill, especially once he has his Ragnarok proc. As you can't CC him, Karthus has come down bottom and is going to be able to pick off Sona there. Ashe as well, that Caitlyn will be able to get away with just a sliver of health. But it looks like Ashe is doing a decent job of running. Elise will not let her run for too long, as Elise and Karthus just finish her off. A nice trade. Looks like Twisted Fate will be coming up to finish Caitlyn down bottom. And overall, a 2-for-2 exchange, with both mid laners really getting into the fight. The problem here for MYM Makers is they burned Karthus' teleport, which is on a much longer cooldown than Twisted Fate's Destiny. Looks like we do see Elise going for a very ability power heavy build, as she has picked up the Haunting Guys. Karthus likely going for a Haunting Guys as well. Malphite, I'm not sure what he's going to build. The Ace of the Legion would be a great choice here, as there's a very good mix of damage coming out. You see Olaf going to pick up a Black Cleaver at any point in time now. Shen going for a Sunfire Cape. Twisted Fate about to pick up a Lichbane. Ashe with the almost completed Bloodthirster, and the Sightstone and Philosopher's Stone up onto Sona. We do see Elise. He's now just picked up a Doran's ring. And we're going to take a quick look at the gold. As we fought White, rip back the item before we can talk about it. Looks like Caitlyn is going for an Infinity Edge first, as that's her only real option, as that team needs a bit of damage, as Karthus is not getting as safe a lane as he needs to really farm it out. He's getting a bunch of kills, and he has now completed that Haunted Guise. But it looks like Azubu Blaze has decided to rotate over and pick up Dragon. This will be a completely free Dragon, as no one else is in the area. And instead of going for the Black Cleaver, Olaf has decided to pick up a Warmox. No surprise there, as everyone's picking Warmox. Ashe really does land on Nunu. But there goes the Nunu ultimate. It does do a little bit of damage, but here comes Karthus roaming around behind, and Ashe is going down. Sona will likely go down as well, as the Azubu Blaze just overextends slightly, getting a little greedy with that bottom lane and not having Shen in the area. In addition to that, they did not think Karthus would be down there, especially because his teleport was nowhere near up. And the MYM Makers will be able to take down this bottom turret, while I do believe Azubu Blaze is going to be able to pick up this mid lane, as Twisted Fate is taken down thanks to the Karthus ultimate. But Malphite will be paid. Or maybe not, as he does flash away at the very last second for a wonderful job. Looks like Caitlyn's going to roam up to mid lane, but Caitlyn is not in good shape if she tries to fight. Though with Nunu and Karthus backing her up, she should be okay now. We are going to see the red side group up as 4 to push this mid turret, And they have a good chance of actually getting it, as they have enough AoE CC to keep people at bay. So Caitlyn just continuing to poke with her auto attacks. And Karthus is going to be sitting there throwing at his wall, in addition to his really annoying blasts. But they will not be able to take this tower down, as tower scores are now 1-1. As Azubu has about a 3,500 gold lead. The kills are tied up at 8-8 as well. And this comes down to objective control and just farming better in all their lanes. Olaf up 50 CS, Shen up 15, Twisted Fate 10, and Ashe is the only lane that's down. But that's made up by the fact that Sona is up 10 onto Nunu. And that extra support item might be coming real handy, as it means Sona got her Philosopher's Stone well in advance of Nunu's, as Nunu only has the Fairy Charm and opted for the Ruby Sight Stone. Looks like we do have Caitlyn finishing off her BF Sword. Lich Bane completed up on Twisted Fate. Sunfire Cape finished on Shen. And Karthus is going to farm with this rather nice and big wave down bottom. I don't think we're going to see any action for the next little bit, as both teams don't want to give up this game, and they are both really vying for position. Dragon's not going to be up for a little bit, and I think that's the next objective that's really going to be contested. Karthus trying to run in the middle and get on Twisted Fate, but just not in time. As we do see 2, almost 3 grouped up in mid lane. Olaf might be caught off up top, but Shen does come in with the ultimate. Malphite just a little too early on his own, and Olaf will be able to get away thanks to the Ghost. And that's the power of that global team comp. Really punishing Elise and saving Olaf when Olaf had no right to be alive after that. Looks like we are going to have Karthus come down against Ashe. And Ashe is in a lot of trouble here. Unless she does have her flash up, and she does, but I'm not sure she wants to use it. She does have barrier. There is the Caitlyn ultimate for a good bit of damage. And that's just the power of the Karthus teleport with Home Guard. So he can get anywhere on the map. He's picked off several kills with it and really helped his team stay in this game. Even though they are very far down, MYM Makler is still not out of it, as they have a Karthus and a Caitlyn Nunu, so they should do a whole lot of damage. Come late game, the only problem is I'm not sure they have enough of a tanky force to really help them. Elise is fairly tanky, Malphite's fairly tanky, and Nunu's fairly tanky, but none of them are real tanky like that Olaf. As look at that, he took a bunch of damage, but still over 75% health. Well, that would have almost killed anyone on MYM Makler's side. They just don't have that real tank yet. Looks like Malphite is going to go for an early Shirley's Reverie. I think that's a pretty good choice to allow him to actually initiate these fights with his ultimate. Twisted Fate throwing out those wild cards and doing a good bit of damage as Caitlyn just pokes the tower down. Ashe arrow does come across, but whiffs everyone. It was a nice arrow, but just did not land. And the poke wars will begin as Twisted Fate and Ashe fire out their cone abilities. And I do think they're going to have a little bit of a win in this poke war, as Caitlyn and Karthus just have to get a little too close. Though that Karthus wall does a lot of slowing ability. Olaf is caught out and taken down moderately low, but still in decent shape thanks to that Warmongs and Negatron poke. Likely going to pick up a Spirit Visage next. Could even pick up an armor item or two. He can basically do whatever he wants, as Olaf is in very good shape. Looks like Warmongs is going to be next up on Shen. And we continue to see just a 5v5 push. And both sides have massive creep waves, stacking one on top, one on bottom. So it's okay to actually do this, as both sides are losing about the same thing on either lane. The only problem is at the blue tower. So the blue tower is slowly getting knocked down with every single time. Caitlyn gets 1 or 2 auto attacks off, Karthus gets an auto attack. And they've just kind of decided, we're going to go push out these lanes, and that's what Shen needs to do at this point. He's decided to go top, while Karthus goes back. Karthus' teleport is not up, it's about halfway up cooldown. And this is a good move by Shen, split pushing at this point. As if he starts split pushing, MYM Makler is going to have to send someone up there. And they don't have a support with CC that can kind of just slow him down. They could send Elise up there, but I'm not sure how well Elise is going to do against Shen, as Shen is up in CS and up slightly in terms of kills. I think Shen would actually win that matchup fairly well. They could send Malphite, but Malphite not strong enough to deal with Shen. I think it would be a decent matchup, but Shen would definitely get the best of him. They couldn't send Nunu because Nunu doesn't have any real CC or any range. If he had range, he'd be okay, but it looks like Minion Makers are going to take this dragon for free. The question is, will Azubu Blaze actually get anything off of this? And I'm not sure they will. Shen decided not to fight, though it looks like there is a fight that's going to break out as Malphite does ultimate. Ashe jumps away at the last second. Shen is going to come in there. Beautiful crescendo by Sona, hits 2. And there goes Karthus and Malphite. Nunu trying to get his ultimate off, but no such luck as Olaf just soaks up all that damage. And considering Olaf is so low and was not even killed, that's why tanky Olaf is such a very powerful champion. Looks like we have a little bit of a stream freeze as Caitlyn is picked off on the back end. And Azubu Blaze goes 4 for none. And really just won that team fight on the back of Olaf soaking and a beautiful crescendo out of Sona, keeping Malphite and Karthus away from Ashe. And Ashe can just sit back and poke just a little bit. Wonderful play there by Azubu Blaze. And that just shows you what a good team they are. Looks like Karthus has completed the Audrey's Torment, and Caitlyn has finished off her Infinity Edge. Malphite has completed that Shirley's Reverie. And if they had these items completed in that last fight, MYM Makers probably would have won it, because they needed just a little bit more damage here and there, and they would have done things like finish off Olaf and start on some of the squishier targets, because Olaf is not the target you want to be hitting. He has a ridiculous amount of life, as he has a Warmong, Spirit Vestige, and an additional Giant's Belt. Likely going to take that into a Frozen Mallet, but he can really turn it into whatever he wants at this point. Twisted Fate has almost completed his Zonya's Hourglass, as he does have the Lich Bane up. We do see Shen completing his Warmongs, meaning he is stacking health up the wazoo and is going to be extremely hard to kill. Ashe has completed Infinity Edge and is working her way towards Azeel, having already completed the Vampiric Scepter. We do have Sona with the Negatron Cloak, looking to prevent that big Karthus ultimate from doing damage. Elise has picked up a Doran's Ring in addition to the Haunting Guys. We do see Malphite with the Shirley's Reverie. It looks like Malphite's going to engage, doing a lot of damage with Fate. Fate will be picked off, and that will mean the tower will go down. As Ashe and Olaf are in no position to fight. This is a good choice by MYM Makers to just move up his 5 and really contest things. But a nice Sona all hits all 5 of them. And Sona will live and might take down Elise to the tower. Not enough. But that does keep them from really pushing the base, and it will allow Olaf to pick up this top tower. Ashe could come in the middle with an arrow, but I don't think she wants to jump into 5 people at this point. Malphite is a little too low. It does not have his ultimate, at least low as well. And it looks like Ashe will be able to push them away from this tower, as it is not going to go down. The minion's just not doing enough damage at this point. And she does save it with a sliver of health. So not a bad trade overall for Azubu, but they do lose several kills. And what that fight really showed was Shen is tanky, and he is not going to go down very easily. The problem also is Olaf's tanking wasn't even in that fight. And between Olaf and Shen, they're going to be virtually impossible to kill at this point. Looks like Azubu Blaze is going to start Baron. It's a fairly early Baron, but it is not warded. It might get taken down fairly well before anything goes on. As the ward is dropped, Karthus does pop his ultimate, but it's not going to be a whole lot of damage. But it will be just enough to force Azubu back. Karthus teleports in, but the Ashe arrows are just strong enough to give everyone. Nunu does throw the snowball on Ashe as Ashe pops the barrier, and Ashe is in a lot of trouble as she does go down to Karthus before the fight even begins. Looks like Olaf is going to take a few hits from those snowballs as he does throw the axes away. He will have to pop Ragnarok here. And MYM Makers are really capitalizing on that mistaken Baron by Azubu Blaze. They got a little greedy and thought they could take it, but just couldn't. Looks like they are going to go group up and take this mid tower down, as there is no real way to stop them. Though Nunu is taken down, and that means no blood boil for Caitlyn, and it means MYM Makers will not be able to pursue any farther. decent trade there, but still losing that tower and losing Ashe is a real big problem for Azubu Blaze. And the fact that they almost did that Baron, they actually turned around and fought, they might have actually won that fight. But because they just don't have confidence in their ability to team fight, they really need to try and split push a bit more at this point. I think having Shen split push or Twisted Fate split push is really what they want to go for. They don't want to take these big team fights. And it looks like Baron will be the target again, but it is spotted out. Though I think they're going to be baiting it this time. They're not actually going to be going for it. As Elise is likely to throw a ward over here, but it's Malphite throws the ward and immediately taken out. As they were trying to bait it for people just darting in. You see Ashe having completed the Zeal, while Caitlyn has completed the Zeal as well. Karthus has finished off the Death Cap and is really farming out that tier of the Goddess. He might actually be able to finish it if this game goes on long enough. And once he finishes that, in addition to the Archangel staff, he is going to be a tanky monster, as he's easily going to get a 400 to 500 point shield, which makes him really hard to kill. Looks like Malphite has completed a Giant's Belt, and a Giant's Belt up on Elise as well. I think Elise would likely be going for the Royal Ice Crystal Scepter, as Malphite will pick up a Sunfire Cape. You have Nunu having Ruby Sight Sona and an additional Ruby Crystal. I'm not sure we can build that into, likely a Candle or an Aegis of the Legion. You see a fight likely to break out here as Olaf is slightly caught. He does have his Ragnarok to pop and does pop it as he runs right through all that CC, bringing Shen with him. And they do decide to go take Nunu down before the fight starts. No blood bowl on anyone. Nice crescendo hits Malphite, but Malphite only hits one with his ultimate. And it looks like Twisted Fate is going to come out there, but Caitlyn is taken down, and there's just not enough damage coming out from MYM Makler at this point. And that Shen ultimate onto Olaf was a real nice touch. And it allowed Shen to get into the fight and just zone out all the squishies so they can kill Nunu. And Caitlyn never got that blood boil. If she had blood boil, they might have been able to finish off someone, as that's a good bit of extra damage. Looks like we are going to have Baron being taken by Azubu Blaze at about the 28-minute mark, as they have now extended their gold lead to 10,000 and are looking very strong and poised to win this game, thanks to the fact that they have a really nice ability to split push, and they've gotten a lead through that. And once they have a lead split pushing, they can almost win a 4v5 fight at this point. And I'm just really kind of surprised how well they're winning this. MYM Makler has a good lineup and has a pretty decent chance of winning, but they're just a little too far behind at this point. And I'm just not sure they're dealing enough damage to actually kill anyone. They could also try tanking up to just increase the amount of time they have to deal their damage, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Karthus is just a little too squishy. Nunu's a bit squishy at this point, and that's the big problem, as Nunu can't get multiple blood boils or ice blasts off to keep Ashe and Olaf at bay. It's like Olaf might be caught out, but he's just going to take a few hits from Caitlyn, no big deal. As we are going to go to a little bit of a stalemate, as both sides are going to start pushing out their minions, taking jungle buffs. But Azubu Blaze is quickly going to end that and push, as they do have the Baron. Looks like Olaf is just going to push up the mid lane, and I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop him. He is just way too tanky. He has completed a random into Omen, and he is so incredibly tanky. It's going to be very hard to kill him, as I don't think they have anyone who can really kill him. Looks like we do have Ashe picking up a Banshee's Veil, trying to prevent the Karthus ultimate, or the Malphite ultimate from landing, and if she can prevent Malphite ults from landing, she's going to be just fine, because that's the real big thing that could pick her off, and then Ashe can just sit back and deal damage. Looks like we are going to have Shen continue to split push, picking off all these wards in the bush. And I do think it's a great idea for him to just split push this game. He's tanky enough that I don't think anyone's going to be able to kill him. He has a ton of armor. Looks like Twisted Fate ultimate does come down. And a beautiful gold card landed on Caitlyn as the Ashe arrow flies, finishing her off. And with Caitlyn dead, should be an easy tower for Azubu Blaze. And another tower for Azubu Blaze means that they can start pushing this base, as that is all the outer towers taken down. You do see Catalyst that long Twisted Fate, likely to go to advantage Gale as well, just trying to prevent that Malphite ult from landing. That Malphite ult does a really ton of damage. Looks like Sona has actually picked up a Spirit Vestige in addition to the standard support items. You do have Boots of Mobility and the Ruby Sightstone, but nothing else really on to Nunu at this point. And that's really hurting his team, as Sona just does a lot more rather than just blood boil the carry. And the carry is when Caitlyn has just not gotten the damage she needs at this point. She can, and Caitlyn and Karthus can actually win this game. But they just need to go long enough to where gold doesn't matter that much. Looks like Azubu Blaze is going to be taking down that inhibitor turret and an inhibitor as well. As Shen's pushes mid lane and going to rotate right around. They're going to try and catch Shen out, but I don't think it's going to work too well, as Sona is coming here to support along with Ashe. But it does bring them just away from that inhibitor for a few moments. And I do think Makers is going to have to fight at this inhibitor, or else they're not going to be able to defend the other inhibitors. Especially because Azubu can just rotate top lane, kill that big stack of minions and push in on that. And we'll get super minions pushing bottom. They can just siege top lane all day long, but they're going to play it incredibly safe, as Olaf is absolutely ridiculous. He farmed for almost 14,000 gold at this point. He can basically buy whatever he wants, and he's now finished off his Black Cleaver. I wonder what his last item would be. Likely a Shirley's Reverie. He could be a Frozen Mallet if he wants just more health. I do think Frozen Mallet would be a pretty good choice here, as it is incredibly strong and allow him to just get that extra little bit of slow. But he doesn't really need it considering they have an Ashe on the team. Looks like Warmonks is up next for Elise. Warmonks up next as well for Malphite. And if they can both get that Warmonks, they might have a chance. So that would make their front line fairly tanky. But I do think it's not going to be enough. You have Sona over there clearing the Baron Pit, as both teams are just going to sit back and farm for the moment. Farming does slightly favor Makers, as that's basically their big chance to win, is just to farm out 6 items on everyone and hope for the best. Problem is, Azubu Blaze is getting more farms. They can take both jungles and all the minion waves and really get to 6 items before Makers has even a slight chance of doing so. And it looks like Karthus is getting fairly close to that Archangel staff. And I think that's going to have to be his next choice, as he really just needs to finish that off so he can become tanky enough to survive these fights. He's just getting bursted down a little too quickly between Olaf and Ashe, taking out most of his health before the fights even begin. Unless he can get something like his Zondi's Hourglass, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to get that in time. Caitlyn will be taking red buff as Shen continues to just split push and be annoying top, doing exactly what Shen is supposed to do. As we do see Olaf and Twisted Fate coming down bottom, and they are going to just push this tower down. I do think Twisted Fate is doing the right thing here. He should be able to push this inhibitor down by himself, or draw enough attention that Azubu Blaze can take down another tower. And the tower score is 7-3. And a very good job of Azubu Blaze just controlling this game. Really playing it patiently and just waiting for every single opportunity. Looks like we are going to have a little bit of an engagement here, as both sides are just going to kind of poke around. But I don't think either side really wants to get into a fight. Baron is now up, and with Shen's pushing bottom, it should be a rather free Baron as Elise is spotted down bottom. And Shen could easily take on Elise at this point, though Elise would get a lot more help Elise just has not been a very effective pick this game. Olaf countered her pretty perfectly. As we do see Ashe and Olaf and Sona just going for a Baron. Malphite's going to try and get in there and likely steal it, but I don't think he's going to be able to. Unless he lands a really beautiful ultimate. So Shen is going to pop his own ultimate so he can't get the smite. As they do need the smite now that Malphite's here. And that is a free Baron for it to be plays, and they should be able to siege with this Baron rather nicely and finish off the game. Looks like we are going to see them just run up mid lane. I'm surprised they haven't pushed that bottom inhibitor yet, as it's been wide open for a long time. Karthus almost able to complete that Zhonya's hourglass, but just not soon enough, as he really needs it for this fight here. And Olaf taking a good bit of damage, but should be just fine. He's only at 60% after taking several key spells. And it looks like Azubu is still just going to continue to siege. They have no real reason to hurry. Olaf is generating a ridiculous amount of health at this point. And they can just use Ashe to sit there and poke down the inhibitor. And if MYM Makers isn't defending inhibitors, I'm not sure why they're still in this game. Especially that middle inhibitor. They're going to have to make a fight happen at this bottom inhibitor. As if you lose 2 inhibitors for free, you're not coming back. There's no question about that. Looks like we are going to see Ashe just poking in this damage on the inhibitor. Well, Olaf just continues to do what he's done all game long, just soak damage and be a real nuisance as Ashe continues to poke. And if Ashe continues to poke his inhibitor, it's going to go down pretty soon. Looks like Zhonya's hourglass is now completed on Karthus, and I think that might be their idea of saying go. But Malphite is not going to be able to get in this fight as Olaf just runs in and throws damage out on Karthus, trying to force that Zhonya's out. Olaf is forced to burn Ragnarok, but he does not care as a beautiful Sona ultimate comes down, Shen ultimate as well, and Karthus not even able to get that Zhonya's hourglass off. Though he does throw a fairly decent ultimate, 2 inhibitors are down. But it is not enough to kill anyone, and that should be good game in favor of Azubu Blaze. Just playing every single lane a little bit better, and that global team comp being a real nuisance on not allowing people to pick off 2 get hit by the Malphite ultimate, but it is not enough as Shen taunt hits 3. The ultimate goes to out, but it is not enough as Olaf does finish off this Caitlyn. And I expect to see Olaf bans pretty soon, especially once we get out of these group stages. Seriously, ban Olaf. He's ridiculous. He's such a versatile champion. He's good at every single point in the game. And good luck actually stopping him, as he can just run through all your crowd control effects. And gets bonus damage for having more health. Thank you for watching Games Cast by PanderNyrl. For more commented games, please visit my YouTube and stream channels.